voting.
Yes.
Welcome, New Gambia platform. On our weekly civic education show today, May 30, today's 30th, yes, May 30th, 2021. So today we're gonna be discussing about diaspora voting. Um, Diaspora voting is very essential in this upcoming election. As we all hoped when we changed the country 2016, one of the dreams that Gambians were hoping for is for diaspora to vote, to be given the opportunity to vote in an election. Other countries are doing it. Gambia is not an exception. So therefore, it is very important to make that dream come true, and everyone is looking towards that. Anything that would stop that would not actually connect with people well, because diasporans, contributed to the GDP of the Gambia. We do so much for Gambia that our voice matters. So we cannot be neglected on something that the Constitution gives us the right to do. And then this will also be a test for this administration to get, to show that they mean business, to show that, diasporans are part of Gambia, and then they should be having a say in the way the country, runs. So that being said, diaspora voting is very critical, and so far the signs are not promising. What we're seeing is like the time is not even in our favor, and as well as the IEC actions are not really promising. So the question is, how did we come to this? We had so much time. 2016 and now is a long time. You cannot say it wasn't because of time. You cannot say the facilities are not there. If it was prioritized, the facilities, of course, are there. And then you cannot say the money cannot be raised or the money cannot be allocated for this. So I'm gonna allow my co-panelists to comment, Ceesay, and give us details on this while we wait for other panelists to join. Sam, what is your take on this?
Well, thank you, Mr. Sawaneh. First things first, I just want to go back to a release, and I'm sure I know there was a press release about this. It was on news and on radio that the diasporas will be able to vote this year through the efforts of certain individuals like Pasamba Joe and Bibi Dabo and the group that was all part. I don't know who else was involved in it, but those two names I do remember. Fought this for the Gambians in the diaspora up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court declared that Gambians should be able to vote. Or Gambians in the diaspora should be able to vote. So thanks to those people that made that effort, we've got to give them that credit for doing so. And after that, the question comes then, why not? If it's already declared that we can vote, why not? Why can't we vote? So, and not allowing to vote, or not making for the government and IEC not making any effort for us to vote is going to be a tremendous mistake. Because if we can't vote, we really should turn around and sue them for not allowing us to vote, because this is a fundamental right. It's a fundamental right. It's our constitutional right to vote. And we should never be deprived of that. That should not have happened in the first place. But what's gone is gone. Now that it's been declared by the Supreme Court that we can vote, there should not be anything that should block people from voting. So the government and the IEC should take the responsibility to do everything necessary to make sure that we vote, because this is crucial. As you mentioned, diaspora contribute a lot to Gambia's economy. There's a lot of things in the Gambia done by the people in the diaspora. There's a lot of families in the Gambia supported by the people in the diaspora. So therefore, diaspora has a lot of influence in our country, and we can make a difference, just like how the people in the diaspora took part in 2016 election. And I would say this, I was part of that too. I mean, everybody contributed in the diaspora. At that time, we all wanted change, and we all participated. We all spoke while Jammeh was there to make sure that we make some changes in our country, because that will be the right direction for us to go. So with that said, I don't understand why. I don't know of any country. I don't know. I'm not saying there's no country out there, but I don't know of any country where their citizens cannot vote. Their citizens outside the country cannot vote. You know, I've worked at the U.S. Embassy prior to coming to the U.S. For a number of years, and I know Americans in Gambia will vote. In an America's election. I don't understand why Gambians cannot vote. That is depriving people from their constitutional right, and that should be illegal. And like I said, if we can't vote, we should take action, and the action we should take should be legal action by going through the courts to fight to make sure that that number one, that we are given the right, and not only that, but number two, that this does not happen in our country anymore. We are citizens of the Gambia. We should have every right to vote. All right. So the question is there do we have the time? Is time on our side? Well, that is not our responsibility. That is the responsibility of IEC. They need to do everything they can do, or they need to do everything that they should do to make sure that the people in the diaspora can vote. Because if not, this can turn around and come and bite them, because we have every legal right to vote. And if we can't vote, that will be their responsibility. It'll be their fault. So whatever they need to do, they need to do it to make sure that this registration happens in the diaspora so people can vote. And they can do that through the embassies. They can do, there's a lot of technology now. We're in the 21st century. Technology allows you to do anything. They can register people with a lot of different means. And I mentioned some of them in the past, but using our embassies is one of them, to be able to allow people to register through the Gambian embassy, and really get all the registrations done through that. And of course, the voting can also, the election can be conducted using Gambian embassies and consulates all over the world. Anybody can go to the nearest embassy, not
Hi guys.
anybody can use the nearest embassy for voting, or nearest consulate to really participate in the election. And again, this can be done in a lot of different ways, but how it can be done, we can get into those later on. But that would be the main source for them. The main source for IEC is to connect with Gambian embassies and consulates around the world, and allow Gambians, of course, advertise, and they can do this in a lot of different ways, for people to be able to register to vote. And once the registration process is complete, which they're running out of time now, that should have taken place already. But since they start the registration now, it will be the time to get it done as well. We still have time. We should be able to register. All people in diaspora, anyone that wants to vote, should be able to vote, using their correct identities to vote, and capture them without any duplication, without any errors and things like that. Technology allows us to do all of that. And that can happen so that the people in the diaspora can vote, because they have a say in what happens in our country. They have a say, and they have the constitutional right to elect the right person for our country. And we need to be part of that.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We have Alice. Alice, welcome.
Yeah, hello guys. A little bit late.
That's okay.
A lot of appointments. I'm very sorry for that. Yeah, Sam, I missed I know a lot of things you said already. But it will be the same. I mean, for me, I'm just disappointed when we need 5 years, I would say almost, and cannot fix such a thing. So, I mean, this is just showing us what we're having, whether the president or politician or MPs or I don't know, you call it, stakeholders. So this is just showing us what we are capable of. I mean, it's the same for the whole of Gambia, even I myself, because that is the gate to show us what we can afford in this world today, what we can make move, you know. So the whole thing is there are a lot of questions and calls, people making a lot of worries about whether they are going to vote, whether it's possible, and why this delay, and why is it too slow, and they don't take it seriously. You know, for me, I used to say, I mean, if we want it, it will be possible. But on the other hand, I'm just saying what are the opposition parties doing or other parties, because this thing one should understand that it's not only for a party, advantage of a party or things like that. It's just for Gambia and the Gambian citizens sitting outside, you know, to be able to do it. So that the opposition parties should come out. I would advise everybody to come out and then let them go to the stakeholders like IEC or I don't know, more for more on the MPs, I don't know, and try to make noise. I mean, if they think that it's a tactic to sideline the diaspora, I think that will be a failed issue because they should not underestimate the diaspora. I mean, whoever experienced 2016 knows what the diasporas are able to. If they are trying to fool themselves, playing tactics and think that they can sideline or boycott the diasporans, they are in a false boss. Because every diaspora, every individual is having a family, a big one. If that person wants them to vote for him, they'll also vote for him. So that line, I mean that family, they will be behind that person, I think, because mostly is also the one feeding them. You understand? So if a political party think that this is a way to sideline them, I think that is a false information. The diasporans can come with voting cards. Without voting cards, they can vote from outside, and that is very powerful. And they are doing that indirectly. So it doesn't matter. If they try to think that this is a game to boycott the diasporans, I think they're just wasting their time. But we want to do it as a national thing, as in a democratic way. You know, I'm always for the democracy. That's why I don't support anything other than that. We have to live in peace. We have to live with our laws and try to make that we live in peace. So, I mean, let us hope for the best because we've been making noise all the time. But just imagine, after 5 years, if I just say what have we achieved till now, it's a disgrace, a real disgrace. I mean, let us see. I mean, I can only advise everybody or the stakeholders to try and do their best to make sure that the diasporans are happy about it. If not, I know every diaspora is going to vote with his family, not only him alone, with his family, and that is he. You know, so and they should try to understand that this is not for any party because the cake is for every party in the Gambia. So it should be how to call it. They should be all interested for the voting of the diasporas. Because if I try to sideline the diaspora, I never know whether 50% of them are going to vote me as a party. So if I try to play tricks or delay or try to sideline them, that can also hit my party. You understand? So it's not the interest of the diasporans alone, but the interest should be a common interest of all parties who are trying to compete. Let them come out, let them move it, because it's very sad for Gambians just to move that within 5 years. We cannot. So we don't even talk about the economy. It's just to make it possible what every country can do. A lot of African people, even our neighbors, the Senegalese, they vote. Even if they don't know how it is done, because maybe it's the first time in the Gambia, they can ask even the neighbor, how do you do it? How is it possible that your people are voting from Paris and all over the world? I know that it's something to do with all these technicalities like the technology, and so it's also easy. But one should be ready to do it. I've said it here that the IEC, they have a lot to do. For me, it was since I said it here that the timing, I'm not sure whether we can make it, because I think the whole thing is very late. And the IEC has a lot to do because they have also never experienced 16 parties or going to 17. So these are all to be organized and, a lot of paperwork maybe. So that those things you cannot just start 3 days before. It was clear, you know. So for me, that's all I wanted to say about this voting. Let us hope for the best, and if it is made possible, then we should be all happy. And the people calling me too. But for me, that's all that I can say about this thing. And let us hope for the best. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Alas. I think both of you have nailed the issue. It is a concern. Now, would you think that the reason why we don't have this could be something political, calculated? That means the government, the person leading the government, which is the president, is contesting an election and having to look at the importance of diaspora vote and whether it favors his party could be a factor, or whether it favors the opposition party.
Yeah, for that one, Mr. Sawaneh, I mean, it's a question to me. I can say something anyway.
Yeah, you want some. I mean, if you guys,
yeah, I can come. The thing is, maybe it's from their side, or maybe it's from the side of another party, but whoever it is going to a wrong direction, because the diasporans don't vote alone. Every individual is having 20 people behind him. So you cannot play that game. You're fooling yourself. If the diasporans decide this party, that party is going to win. I can promise you that. So the diasporans very, very, so if a party is thinking it's a disadvantage when the diasporans vote, it's also fooling himself to play this game, because the diasporans can do more than that, what they think. They should not underrate the diasporans, So, and if it is Barrow, maybe you can say, maybe for him, his ground will be after he came out and praised the diasporans, and the heavy job they did, 2 days later, he turned it back. For what reason? Nobody knows. Maybe he was told that these people are dangerous for you, never have time with them. I don't know. You can speculate. But there must be a reason, because it's not normal. You praise the people today, the next day you turn your back. So maybe that's the feeling. Maybe if such a person maybe will think, okay, maybe they are against me. But you cannot know that. You cannot know that, because the diasporans, I used to say, the diasporans is not one party. In the diasporans, you have the same parties going on the ground. So how can you just point them the finger and say they are against me, and then maybe they are not going to vote for me or something like that? That is also wrong. Because you have in the diasporans a lot of, for example, for Barrow, you have a lot of diasporans who are for other parties. So that is not a reason.
Right.
That is a false calculation.
So
It should be the interest of everybody.
yeah. So
So,
that yeah. Go ahead, Sam.
so the way I look at that is the law is the law. Everyone is below the law. No one is above the law. No one individual can decide that the people, that the diasporans cannot vote if the law says we should vote. It's our fundamental and constitutional right. We need to be able to vote. If we don't vote, we need to take action. That's the way I look at it. So, and like I said earlier, if we don't vote, since this has been taken to the Supreme Court and it's been really on the news, and it's been really cleared by the Supreme Court that the people from the diaspora should be able to vote. They have the constitutional right to vote. We need to be able to vote. If we don't vote, we should take action. And the action we take is legal action. That's the way I look at it. And this can get worse if we cannot vote, but we have evidence of foreigners come into our country to vote. That will make matters even worse. It will be very devastating, but also it can exacerbate the problem, because what happened is, if the legal citizens are deprived from their fundamental and constitutional right to vote, but then you give the right to illegals to vote, that is going to be outrageous. It's going to be ridiculous. It's going to be something everyone in the diaspora should get up, stand together, unite, and go through the legal means to make sure we fight this. And if we do that, let's say elections happen and we are deprived from voting, but we have evidence of illegals, okay, foreigners coming to Gambia to vote. We should be able to really take lawyers and go to the Supreme Court and fight this, so that that election result does not get announced until our votes count, because our vote matters. We are part of the country. We are citizens of the country. We have every single right to vote just like everybody else. If we are deprived from voting and you allow illegals to come from surrounding countries that have no business in Gambia or in Gambia's election, and allow those people to vote, but deprive the real true citizens of the country, patriots of the country that wanted to vote, but they were deprived from voting, we should take action. We should take legal action to make sure that our votes get counted and before the results come out.
Yeah,
We
so
can do. They have to suspend the announcement of the election, so be it. If they have to do whatever it needs to be, so be it. The law is the law. No one is above the law. No president. We need to set the example. No president can come to Gambia and say the people from the diaspora cannot vote. That's wrong. That's not the law.
we
The
are
law says we should vote. We should be able to vote. IEC should not listen to anybody that tells them that the people from the diaspora, it may not be an advantage for them, but it doesn't matter. And who cares? What matters is the law is the law. No one is above the law. We should be able to vote. So if I were the president, and this also will encourage future presidents to make sure they are consistently delivering the expectation of the people. Because if you know you're doing the right things, it doesn't matter who votes for you. It doesn't matter who you should be afraid of. Do the right things, and everyone in the diaspora in the Gambia will rally behind you and support you and elect you a second term. But if you're a president and you start to play games, or you start to play favoritism and favor certain people over others, and start to do certain things that are wrong and get yourself involved in corruption and get yourself involved in embezzlement, or you allow your people to do that without taking any actions, well, guess what? You're not going to be there too long. We're going to vote you out and get somebody else that's going to do the right thing. And that's what Gambia needs, just like what happened in the United States. One term of a president, you don't do it right, we kick you out and get another person in that's going to do the right thing for our country. If we do that, we will get the right president, and this will really help Gambia nominate or elect a president that's going to sit there. Is also going to help the president, the incoming president, to say that, you know what, I was elected by the people, I am here for the people, and I need to govern by the people. And that's what democracy says. Yep.
Right, son. You nail it.
Thank you. Alas, you want to
In
say
fact,
something? Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something. What Sam was saying, I mean, it's the right for every Gambian being outside, and the law says it already. You know, I think here the problem is not even the law, because the guys went there and then they fought for it, and then I think the green light was given. So the technicalities we're having now, that's the problem. If IEC is not supported, for example, from the government with their organization, then there'll be also delays. So, and I think.
So Alas, quick question there. You think perhaps somebody somewhere is stopping the IEC getting the required, perhaps, tools or required procedures or required approach to get this diaspora vote going on?
Yeah, I mean, you know, Africa is dark. So that's a very, 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 very difficult question. I mean, you know, I can say the law allows it, and I have to do it. What I have to do in one day, I can proceed it also to 1 month or 5 years.
Right.
You know, so you cannot accuse me anything, because anytime you come, I say, yeah, okay, the law allowed that already, but the procedure, I can take my time and do it how I want. So if I happen to do that too to the last day, that means I sideline you indirectly, which I don't think is just you know, what I'm just trying to say with your question. I don't think that that happens. But for me, without anything, I said that already, that, you know, all this, to organize all these things, I don't think that the IEC can make it till December, you know, because there is, you can say a lot and not a lot. For them, a lot of things are new there. One, Gambia is 2 million now, you know, different from 2016. And now you have almost 16 parties. You have a lot of people also in the diaspora. And we have a lot of countries where you have a lot of Gambians and there is no ambassador, nothing. You understand? So even in Germany now, you cannot say exactly how many, some used to say 200,000 diasporans are outside, but the exact number you don't know, because we don't have even a correct ambassador here. What we have is a consulate, like in Sweden too, and they are white people. They don't have any contact to Gambians. Gambians don't go there. They don't even consider them that they are here, because they would not have their problems around to those people. That means you come from the frying pan to the fire, because these people, they inform their people right away, you know. So, and they cannot help you. They are very many. Countries like Ethiopia and all these things, I have been saying that all the time, they're having their ambassadors sitting in Berlin. Next door, they open, they go to cancer, you know, counseling. So they come out with a big package for their countries. Millions. You know why? Because they're having this connection and they are respected, because they send their own people representing them here, sitting in their offices and everything. So what do we have here? Nothing. Even if somebody has a problem, has to go to how to call it Brussels. So you cannot imagine these small boys. They came here. They don't even have enough for taxi. They have problems and they have to run up to Brussels. I mean, I'm very disappointed there. You know, when we talk about foreign affairs, but we have so that is not even enough. You want to ask them to have a way of voting. They have to vote. So how? I mean, the technique is there, but the problem is how. We don't even have an ambassador here to organize those things. Normally, it's a very easy procedure. You know, when the ambassador is here and know exactly how many Gambians are here, have their contacts and everything, he just needs to write one email and press. The technique is there. So every Gambian is informed because his computer is having all data, all addresses, all names from every Gambian who is here and every Gambian who live the place. This should be actual information and very informative material for the government in Gambia and everybody sitting after this ambassador. But these are not there. So to talk about diaspora and voting, you have to be prepared for it. You know,
Yeah.
and that is where we're lacking. That's why I say after 5 years, we cannot even solve such a problem. I mean, it's a disgrace.
Yeah. So thank you for that, Alas. So what I have an article here that says Gambians in diaspora entitled to register for and vote. Supreme Court rules. So this was written by Kadi Jao, January 27, 2021. Okay, the Supreme Court of the Gambia has on Wednesday ruled that every Gambian, including those residing outside the jurisdiction, are entitled to register and vote in the elections to the office of presidency, member of the parliament, as well as local offices, traditional rulers, and referenda. So this agenda, the Supreme Court, about five Gambian judges, rule in favor of diasporans to vote. And the Supreme Court decision is in response to civil lawsuit by five Gambian, Bakari Bunja Dabo, Chorno M. Njai, Pasamba Sadaga Jau, Jigan Gerald Gray Johnson, and Sidi Mohammed Saneh. They sued the Attorney General and an independent electoral commission for this. So the Supreme Court rules in favor of diasporans to vote for this coming election. So since all these things are, out there for us diasporans to be able to have access to this, and this was in January, and now it's coming to 6 months now, 5 months. If still there is no pathway, there is no confidence that we're gonna vote, there must be something wrong somewhere. And this is why, we need more of this kind of civic education, platforms to voice out these kind of issues. Perhaps when we come here and then lament on this, the leadership, not only that, the IEC and other folks responsible would know that our rights cannot be denied. Already the Supreme Court rules, in favor of diasporans to vote. All you have to do is to put the mechanism in place. Now, we know how politics works, especially, like I said, when there is no strategic interest. Nobody can say who the diasporans will vote for. But definitely the tone of the diasporans could be sensed by politicians. Politicians look at the tone. When they come to Facebook, of course, Gambians have access to Facebook and social media, but who kind of drive to Facebook? Social media. People outside, people in the Gambia, 80% don't participate in social media. Now, what is the tone? What is the tone saying? These politicians are not, they're not, when it comes to politics, they're smart about it. So they would look at the tone and perhaps see that if this thing is not going to give us votes, why encourage it? If Alas has the strength to sign something or have a signature to make sure that that would facilitate the actual voting, and Alas is a party that strategically don't have faith in pulling out votes, perhaps Alas might make that difficult. So what we're trying to say is that we should look at the whole entire moral of this, and then the fact that our citizen matters. It's not about self-interest or what somebody failed. Because to me, and perhaps to many, is that there is no way this shouldn't go through. If this doesn't go through, like Sam said, we should call the election null and void. We should declare that the election hasn't really been fair. It's not fair because the aspirants haven't voted. Unless and until you can count our votes, this election wouldn't be fair. Whoever wins, I don't care who, you are probably not representing the Gambia because Supreme Court ruled for us to vote. The new constitution said the diasporans should vote. You cannot say there's no modality. I can understand Gambians still believe in marbles. And I'm telling the truth, as Jammeh said, marble is error-free, especially if it is sport counting. Now, perhaps marble might not work for diasporans, right? Because we live in different places and going to the embassy, everybody might not have the opportunities to do that. But there are paper ballots. And somebody can also say, oh, paper ballot might be manipulated. Now, US use paper ballot. There are advanced ways, technological wise, that people can vote and get their vote signed and their information can be verified. Why not explore that option? You cannot say the government don't have money for that. Listen, we can claim about the government or the Gambian, whatever, don't have money for this and that and that, but priorities are there. You prioritize things. Citizens' right, especially this one, should be prioritized. So I think none of this excuse would be, accepted by most of us, as long as this has been out there, and then the Supreme Court rule for us to vote. People have sued the Attorney General and the IEC, and the article is in the air. You can Google it. There is no excuse. We either vote or die. That is the motto that we're supposed to go. Vote or die.
Yeah, but
And
Mr.
whoever stop us, then you're killing us, because if we don't vote, then we're gonna die. You're killing us literally. You're killing us in the Gambian conversation because you're not voting. So either vote or die. So you don't let us vote, then we are dying because we don't have any say in our government in the decision making. And I don't have to travel to Gambia to vote. Why? That cost me $2,000 that nobody is gonna pay for. The government is gonna pay for my air ticket? No. Who's gonna pay for it? And perhaps I have family here, I cannot leave and go and vote, but I'm dying to vote because I want this new Gambia to be meaningful by having my vote count. In America here, if the slogan is make your vote count, even if you are in the party that is actually perceived to win, as long as my vote doesn't count, I don't feel being part of the system. So people fought here and died for people to vote. That's the spirit that we should institutionalize in the Gambia. Your vote means people have, even though there hasn't been any slavery in the Gambia, but we find colonialism and drive the white people out. So that is dying. That's dying for freedom. That freedom is to vote. Now you don't want me to vote, then that means that freedom that we fought for is all in vain. So let's communicate this to our leaders, National Assembly, IEC, whoever. I hope the government is listening because I'm very passionate about this voting thing. If the government really want to piss us off, is to stop us, because this is our right, our fundamental human right. As long as I'm a Gambian citizen, I haven't given up my citizenship. I need to vote or die. So don't allow me to die because you stopping me from voting.
You live, I think, Mr. Sawaneh. You know, we have two things here to deal with. You know, the law is okay, it's clear for everybody. You know, because it's a right for every citizen, and you are allowed to. You know, but on the other hand, I used to hear that they even used to say to register, the registration should happen in the Gambia. So how many diasporans are going to live here and just go for the registration again? You know, so these are all things. It's not possible. You know, I'm having the feeling that just trying to make it maybe more difficult for the diasporans to do it, because I can make it simple. And if we talk about the expenses, for example, if the government was ready for it and say, okay, I don't have the money now to support IEC with all their costs to make it possible, there are also other ways. That is when you are ready to do it, because the World Bank is also there. If you go there with genuine reason and explain to them, and they could understand you, if they understand and they believe what you're saying, they can help you maybe to proceed, because it's the interest of the people. You know, they used to support such things. If we are talking about financing it, you know, because we have the law there, we have the right there. We're just waiting for election day, but you cannot through these technicalities. You know, I mean, the stakeholders should sit again maybe, and then invite the president again, and then they try to see, and the MPs for, I don't know how they want to make it a proceed, to take it seriously and give the diasporans the chance to do it. You know, the technique is there. It's very simple. I mean, marbles, they can still use marbles, but the diasporans, they can still vote with a letter. That's happening everywhere. It's international. Even in America,
They
most
call
of,
absent ballots. Yeah.
that's it. No, even in America, most of the people, they voted with a letter. So that's possible. You know, but to organize that, for example, to know how many Gambians are here and what are their names, you know, their information. If you don't have it, you know, because we don't have any ambassador here to organize that, and the consulate we're here having, I'm very sorry. You know, maybe he doesn't even know how many Gambians are here, and that is not only happening here, maybe in other countries too. You know, that's why I used to say it's very sad. Countries we have only two Gambians, we are having a big ambassador there. You know, so that's why you say where are the priorities here? You know, islands where five people are, you have Gambian ambassador. So you have countries like America. America is even better. But look at Europe here, Sweden, Germany, you know, and other countries where you have a lot of Gambian population, not even a consulate. So who is going to organize these things to make it possible? That's where the problem is, I think. And any party should not think, okay, the diasporans are just for this party or for that party. Diasporans are neutral in this case. Everybody is having his own party to support. That means when the diasporans vote, doesn't mean that it's all for this party or for that party. You know. So I think every party in the Gambia can even profit from that. You know, because you never know. Maybe many people are for Barrow today, tomorrow many people are for another party. So this party having people, you know, it all counts. So it should be their interest, in fact, not only the diasporans, but their interest, because they don't know. Because even if you say Barrow is also having maybe a lot of supporters here. You know, when you say Halifa, maybe Halifa is also having a lot of supporters here. So it's an advantage for everybody. If you say UDP, they are having also maybe a lot of people. You know, any party, and this cake is going to be divided, I used to say, into 16 pieces. That's why I used to say Gambia is going to experience an election what they've never seen before. I know that because it's happening here where I am. You know, that's how we were living for years. You know, you'll never get a party who is going to rule alone. There must be a coalition if you want to go. And that is this form of election is coming in the Gambia. And ICA is also not prepared for it. They've never done such before. So I think they should have started the whole thing in 3 years back to make it possible. That's where our problem is.
Yeah. Thank you, Alas. Sam will come in, but I'll just highlight this. You have 16 ballots. My friend, marbles. You have to walk around looking for the person that you're gonna vote for. Gambian people, let's think. 16 ballots. This is something that we've never seen before. If it is a paper ballot, I can understand. 16 names, okay. I can perhaps pick the person's name by scamming through. But even that, I can probably vote for the wrong person. But 16 ballots with something of this size, you put that one spot, and how many colors? Let's think. I mean, this election, Alice, just to strengthen your point, is gonna be a challenge for Gambia. But go ahead, Sam.
Well, I don't like to hear excuses. I want the reality, and I want to follow the law, because to me, in my eyes and in my mind, I should only be afraid of two things in the whole world. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can see and know what I'm going to do or say. I am always afraid of him. And the next thing I'm afraid of is the law. I don't want to break any law. Other than that, I don't care about anything else. I am not afraid of anybody else. I can tell the truth and not fearing anything at all, because as long as I'm within the law and as long as what I'm saying is not against God, I'm okay. To me, that's the way I think. So since I know, Alice, you weren't here when I first started, but I started by saying that there was a Supreme Court clarification on this by certain individuals, which I was only able to mention Pasamba Jawa and Bibi Dabo. Sawaneh just said the rest of them. I started with that. I said, since they took that time to do that, first, I gave them credit. We should give them credit for them to
Of course.
go that far to let all Gambians know that
yeah,
we have the right to vote. Now, since the Supreme Court declared that we can vote, then it is our fundamental constitutional right to vote. So we shouldn't care what IEC is capable of or what not capable of. They have to make this happen. It is a responsibility for them to make happen. And
Right.
it is a responsibility for our National Assembly members to stand up to make sure this happens. They are the lawmakers. They need to make sure that this happens by really contacting their government and hold them accountable and say, hey, you knew this is going to happen. Is this part of your budget? You have to do, let's make a supplementary budget. Let's make this happen. It has to happen.
Right.
Bring that budget to the National Assembly, let them approve it so that this can happen, because they should not deprive us from voting. We have every right to vote. And so there are certain aspects we have to look for here. Now, when it comes to the embassies and consulate, like Alice mentioned, in Germany, Germany is one of the largest Gambian populated area in the world, and we don't have a Gambian ambassador there. Instead, we have a consular that's not even a Gambian. Well, that is not our problem. That is the government's problem, and that is the IEC's problem. So what needs to happen is, in most cases, when you see consulates and consulates, generally those consulates also report to a nearby ambassador. So that nearby country, even though I 100% agree with Alice, Germany, we've all said this here before, Germany should have had a Gambian citizen ambassador in there, sitting there representing the Gambian people. That is no question. There's no question about that. That should have happened. But we don't have it yet. And hopefully with the next government, that will happen. So in the meantime, that consulate should be answerable to somebody else. And that somebody else is the one that should say, hey, the law says this, and this is what we're going to happen. You either do it or we're going to get you out of there and get somebody else there that's going to do it. So they need to stand very firm on this to make sure that that consulate do his job to get this done. Now, there's another tweak to this, or another twist to this, and that is, if the government does what they need to do, IEC do what they need to do, then it will be up to the Gambians also to do what they need to do. It will be Gambians in the diaspora responsibility to make sure they can vote. And there are ways that this can happen and can go effectively, and there are ways that they can do strategies that they can do to discourage Gambians voting as well. And one of those is, for example, in Germany, if they call for that German consulate that's there, who is a German citizen, to take registration for people, I can see Gambians not registering because there are people that are undocumented. There are people that don't have legal rights or legal documentation, and therefore they don't want to show up their face or put their information on paper for that German consulate who is not a Gambian citizen, who may in turn supply that information to German government for them to go after those people. Okay, so that will discourage Gambians from voting. What needs to happen is this is our country, is our constitution, is our government, is our election, is our fundamental and constitutional right to vote. So therefore, this should be all done through the Gambia government. The Gambia government needs to use all the ambassadors in the area and in the surrounding to make sure that this happens and all registrations go through Gambians, not through any foreign entity. And not only that, in fact, all they can do really is they can also ask for help. They can ask the host country for help, not help with records, because we don't want, Gambian people don't want their records to be given to these host country, especially those who are, like I said, who are undocumented. So what the host country can help us with is to make sure that there is a fair process. We can ask for security. Gambian people should vote absentee ballot, paper ballot, that can be sent to the embassy with their information that will never be supplied to the foreign country. However, when it gets to the when it gets to the Gambian embassy or consulate, this is where we ask the foreign country, the host country, help us secure this ballot, help us escort these ballots all the way and hand deliver to IEC. So there's no tampering because the host country can do that. If we ask for help, they will help. If you ask Americans, they will help. They can do that. They can make sure this goes through the U.S. Embassy to Gambia, and U.S. Embassy will deliver to our IEC, and the government will not have any hands in there. No political party will have any hands in it. Nobody should be able to tamper. It will go through diplomatic pouches, which only diplomats get, and only them can tamper. Only them can open. They take that and don't even open it, take it straight to IEC and hand deliver to IEC, and provide that security and make sure that those ballots get counted. This
Yeah,
is the way
Sam,
to do it without putting fear into Gambians' mind and prevent them from really registering. Otherwise,
Sam.
you will have people, even if the coast is clear and the word comes out, yes, Gambians in the diaspora, go ahead and vote. We need to make sure that they are protected. Their information is protected. Like I said, people without documents will not want to divulge their information to a foreign country, or they don't want their records in the hands of the wrong people that may turn around and bite them or turn around and go after them, because they are going to know that these names don't match anything in our system that shows that they are legally here. So let's go after them. That should not be used. That really shouldn't be. That's why this should be Gambian and Gambian own administration and Gambians own organization. However, like I said, they can ask for help. But last thing, again, I want to say is to really take away that excuse of the Gambia government saying, well, we don't have the money for it. Well, you should have the money for it. This is our constitutional right. You need to do everything necessary. There has been millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars that went to Gambia. So today we cannot sit and say we don't have the funds for it. We do have the funds. We have funds in the Gambia, all right? And now, have the funds been put in the right places? Probably not. That's one thing we won't even go to that now. So, but what can happen is, if, like Alice said, if you ask the World Bank, if you ask foreign countries, if you ask other people that really support democracy, they will say, yes, we will give you this to make sure that your people can vote in the diaspora. So that's all I want to say. So
Yeah,
no, it's
thank you, Sean. In fact, if you look at it, it's very easy if they really want to make it. Because, I mean, my imagination, let us take the easiest way. But provided that the consulate or the ambassador sitting somewhere knows exactly how many Gambians are there, their names, their data, their information. He was just going to finish everything with a number. For example, so say Psalm 2001, Sawaneh 2004. So that is sent to your address. So you just need to sign and say which party. That's it. You just cross it because all these parties are there. It can be even two papers. The others you have the 16 parties to cross, make your cross, and then that's it. You pack it and send it to him. So this person is just going, the consulate or the ambassador is just going to take all these, make a package, and send it to IAC. And this is even possible to be made before the election day so that they have already time to count all these votes and keep the numbers. So after the Gambian people themselves also vote, they have to add it up and then say that is it. It's a very easy process. So, but just to organize that, if we cannot do it, that's why I say, if we cannot do it, I'm disappointed. That is showing us our capability. If we cannot make such a simple thing to proceed, to get successful, I mean,
Uh,
that's too much.
yeah, Alice. It is simple. You don't need a rocket scientist to get diasporas to vote. Even us, if they don't have the money, we can sponsor it. We can raise funds. It costs how many hundred thousands? We can do it. You know what? Our sovereignty means a lot. We need to have a say in our government, even at the local levels. We need to. Let's stop let us stop the thing, BSing, because the fact of the matter is there is no mechanism. The technology is there. There is a secure way to vote. Either way they wanted it. The embassies should be. What is the use of the Gambian embassies around the world? They started sounding or looking useless to me because they don't even account the number of Gambians in the diaspora. They don't. And when you go to them, you have an event, Gambian event, like we organize Gambian independence. It is a pull and twist just to have a little donation towards our national independence that we organize for Gambians to come together and sensitize them about their independence. These folks will come there and sit and donate basically nothing. And I'm pretty sure there are some budgets allocated for those kind of things, initiatives that we are doing in the community. Those of us who does the community works, I organize community events. So I know sometimes they do come. I have to give them credits with some other councillors. Take some token of appreciation and give it to us towards our programs that we organize in the behalf of Gambia, but most of the time they don't. So the Gambian embassies need serious people to work there. It's not about, I'm not against making attire because I love attire, but it's not about having being in the office, having somebody making attire and you guys are just chit-chatting like in the Gambia. The West doesn't need that. Everything here is about intensity, getting work done. So they need to reach out to the communities and get people registered with the embassies. Get headcounts of your citizens, making sure that everyone's situation is reported, good or bad. So this is the problem. Our embassies are not effective across the globe. That's number one failure. Second failure is get a database. I said this in Wisconsin when I gave a speech about the role of diasporans in the New Gambia. I was invited there, by one of my colleagues. So I did some research that says if you get a website of all Gambian registered with their qualifications, with their addresses and so forth, a secure website, the government can tap into diaspora resources. There could be job advertisements there. There could be job matches there. There could be a way to get talent from the diaspora. People are willing to go back. There are some people who want to go and serve their country. They're already okay with what they get. They build houses. They just want to give back. But if you are sitting there and neglect the diasporans, making them as an enemy, or making them lose like they're critics of your government or of your political ideologies, then you are missing out. All these politicians, I've spoken to, I told them, tap into diaspora for anything you are doing. Not only money. When we are operating Drammeh, the community center that I have here for Gambian Youth Organization, we offered that community center, more than $4,000 was raised there. Not once. The community come to myself and other people took out money and donated to the coalition. And I know you guys did also. So now, all of a sudden, diasporans become the tail of a goat.
Yeah, because
we become the behind. We don't matter anymore. We become a behind of animals. Because of why? Because we started being critical.
Nah, the thing is, we African.
I mean, this doesn't make sense.
We African.
And then now, let me finish, Alas. Now,
okay,
it is affecting this vote. Even though people went to the Supreme Court, even though we agree that, or we were hoping that there's no question of them voting. Now, you cannot even understand what's going on. And 6 months, how many months left to the election? 6, 7 months. So I think it's our rights to come out here, even if it's going to be every week, pound on this system. We have to vote. We must vote. Otherwise, your election results wouldn't matter. So I agree with Sam. Sam, this is the tone that we need to move on with, because we don't care who wins, but the fact of the matter is, count us in. If you count us in, whoever wins, I'm ready to work with you. Yeah,
that's the way we need to do it. That's why I said that. That's the way we need to do it.
Yeah. I mean, Mr. Sawaneh, then you should not say "I think." You say we have to vote.
We must vote. That's why I said.
It's a right. It's a fundamental right for all citizens, because even according to the law, that's why the boys fought for it also, to make it clear. It's a fundamental right now for every Gambian in the diaspora to do it. But our problem is what we're still talking about, the way of doing it. Also, we can take the simplest way. I mean, the technique is there. It depends whether we want to use papers or, as you said, a website where every Gambian can go and register himself, even, and then from there, that person can even choose this man or this party, and that's it. They can pull it over in Gambia. Very simple. The technique is there, but the will maybe is not there.
Will.
So I mean, yeah. So I just wanted to say something while you were talking. In Africa, and African leaders, most of them don't understand democracy. They want it, they need it, they are proud, but they don't know that in a democratic state, every Gambian has the right to say his opinion. You understand? So this opinion is different from insulting, but the people are allowed in a democratic state to hold whoever is leading accountable because he is voted to be there and he is a servant for these people. He is supposed to work for them. It's just like now you have a maid at home and she is doing nonsense. You, as the landlord, you don't keep quiet. You say, hey, look, you have to do it that way. I think it's going to be better, you know. And to take critics sometimes, African presidents need to understand it because, I mean, they say when somebody asks you to go and watch, just want to see you sign. Some critics doesn't mean that it's an insult. So they have to differentiate that. So, and in a democratic state, not a dictatorship, every Gambian has the right to say what he thinks the president or whoever is leading the country, what he can do better in his own opinion. You understand? But these are things many African presidents don't understand. If you tell the president to do that and that, you'll see even his people will attack you. They say you insulted their leader. You know, because we Africans, we like it, democracy, but to understand it, the only thing we understand, I used to say people love, is freedom of speech. That's what they used to say, freedom of speech. And that is just a small, tiny thing in democracy. We need to understand democracy. I know that many folk don't know about it because they know only this dictatorship 22 years. So it's time to come and know bit by bit how. Even most of our leaders don't know. Most of our opposition parties don't know their rights. Most of the MPs don't know their rights. You know, I don't talk of a lot of leaders, you know. So we need to know these rights and know also how to go with it, starting from transparency, voting rights, you know, critics from the side of the population, you know, things like that, the freedom of the people, you know, the security, you name it, you know, that is democracy, you know, and every individual should be respected, you know, and these are the problems we have. I don't only say Gambia, but Africa, you know, our leaders. You should not say the truth because most of them they are afraid of it. They don't want to hear it. It's a poison. But you cannot live in falsehood. You know, you have to live in the reality or real world. And if you put yourself there, don't expect that people will be praising you or clapping hands for you when you don't do nothing. I mean, that means they are fooling you, you fooling them. So nobody will reach anything. So that was it. That's what I wanted to say about democracy anyway.
Yeah. Sam, what do you have? You wanted to say something.
Yeah, you know, just to kind of finalize here, I think we've really, all of us have really beat this on the head big time, and um, there's a lot that can be talked about here. The one thing that I always want to remind ourselves is, and in response to what you said, Sawaneh, about the Gambian embassies as well, I don't blame the Gambian embassies very well. You can only blame them so much because they are operating under the Gambia government. There are certain things that they are allowed and certain things that they're not allowed to do. And if they don't give them funds for anything else, they're not going to do that. And those people don't make any money. The ambassador and all the people that work in the embassy, you know, they don't make a whole lot of money. They're not going to spend their own money into something. So I don't expect anything from them to do. But this all starts with, that's why, you know, I've said this before in my on my platform, on the WhatsApp platform, and then recently went to Facebook and did this civil service. I put in as I call it a comprehensive civil service reform, and in that comprehensive civil service reform, I mentioned that there should be a global platform that all Gambian civil servants should be under and should be able to use and interact. There's a lot of things that can happen there, including, you know, having human resource directors in different departments and all that stuff, which will really help the Gambian embassies around the world and consulars to utilize that one platform that can serve all purposes that they need, including recruiting, hiring, training, everything that, I mentioned all of that on there. And that is a platform that they could use. I mentioned like at least 10 different ones that they could use. But going back to the basics, like I always say is, IEC is aware of this. The government is aware of this since it's been declared by the Supreme Court of the Gambia, which is our highest court. It is a law that people in the diaspora should be able to vote. As a result, I always saying, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. That's what it is. So if they fail to plan, they are planning to fail. So the proper planning by having the right people that know how is key. If we don't have the right people that know how, things may not work the way it's supposed to. But if they don't work, we're going to hold them accountable. We're going to hold them accountable because this is our fundamental right to make sure that this gets done. It's our constitutional right. So we're not going to take any excuses. We want results. No excuses, but results. And the results can come from, they better get started now. Start now. If you haven't already started, start now to get this ball rolling, because we need to vote and we are going to vote. If we don't vote, we are going to challenge. We are going to challenge the election. And I will stand behind anybody. I will lead to make sure that if we don't vote, knowing that our fundamental and constitutional right has been deprived, we need to go to a court. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, Sam, you should not say they have to start now. They should have started yesterday. He's gone.
Right. Yeah. So that said, we're gonna just quickly look at the corruption, which is our second part of the agenda. Alice. So corruptions in the Gambia is something that is not known. We know that our country is very corrupt, starting from the top to the bottom. Sometimes corruption is not about only our leaders. We also, as citizens, we have hands in it. We encourage it. We play part in it. So, but the bottom line is, why corruption? What can we do to kind of eradicate? It might not be eradicated 100%, but how can we control it? How can we make sure that corruption don't disintegrate our economy, our country, our interests, our future, and so forth and so forth? So, Alas, if you can come in and just give us a little overview about this, and then Sam, you want to come in?
Yeah, I mean, Sam can start, or I can start. No.
Go ahead, Alice. Go ahead.
Yeah, for me, yeah. I've been talking about this since 2016.
You have been talking about this since I knew you.
Yeah. So that's why I'm very tired now, because I lose the hope that before this coming election, nothing can be done, because nobody took it seriously. I mean, but the problem is, I think we don't take these things seriously because we don't want to see it as something real. And but we can always complain on other things. Why are they going this way? Why are they going that way?
So, but somebody's asking for your number. So
my number, you can give him.
No, they are on the chat. So maybe you have access to it when you finish, right, on our Facebook chat.
Yeah, what you can give them, or they can go to the website. They can also have it there. I mean, yeah, maybe I can then answer it through the.
Yeah.
We don't take it. We don't take it real. We don't take it seriously, as I said. But we used to complain on other things that are caused by corruption. But to talk about the corruption, it's nobody's interest. Whether you are in the parliament or opposition or minister or I don't know. That's why I say we don't take it seriously. But why are we always avoiding that? Because had it been that we got this anti-corruption bill, at this time we are talking about another Gambia. You understand? But we cannot talk about another Gambia once we don't get these things done. You know, if you look at it, it's not the interest of the politicians, it's not the interest of the MPs. You know, even Barrow, you can give him a credit this time and say because he signed the bill already from his side and things were taken to the parliament. So these people should have done their best, not just like the constitution that they cannot agree for the sake of Gambians, you know, and know how important that is. That's the most important bill Gambians were waiting since 2016, you know. But they don't take it real, they don't take it serious. You know, the discussion used to be always, yeah, before, if you want to stop corruption, we have to give the people working more, which is very right. But that is not the argument here. You understand? It should be also a law somewhere to say stop stealing for everybody. First, stop stealing for everybody, and then the rest of the discussion. But we cannot take any other arguments that is trying to pull this thing back. You know, if we cannot, because they cannot even tell you how many millions or we going to billion Gambian government lost through corruption. You cannot imagine because we underrated the whole thing. We don't take it serious. We don't take it real. But we are always ready to discuss about or quarrel about other issues. But these issues are all under the roof of corruption, we call it. You know? Why are we saying Gambia is a poor country today? Because the money is gone. Why are we saying our health system is not okay? Because the money is gone somewhere. You know? Why are we saying the youths are not having anything to do? Because the money is gone. Why are many people sitting at home? They cannot even give lunch to their families because the money is gone. And then the saddest thing is the money is gone to the people who are going to come back and give them $20. They try to praise this man, saying Alaya Alaya Sole.
Alaya
You
Sole.
know, Alaya Sole, yeah, you know, because people
Alala
don't
kiki.
Alala Keje, Alala Kododia. Yeah, this mentality without understanding that this man is filling his pockets from their own money that should have saved them from poverty, money that should have made so that they have medicine when they go to hospital, you know, money that they can even take their kids to school, you know. That is where we have these problems because people cannot differentiate. I said it here our last discussion. Who is the criminal? The boy, small boy wearing rags, holding maybe his jammer, or the person stealing the billions and then passing with the big car and come and give them $50. They go on their knees and praise him and even pray for him. Pray for him that he's stealing their own money without knowing. You understand? So unless we take these things serious, whether you are an opposition or I don't know where you sit, doesn't matter. But we have to take it serious and take it real and know that this thing is even bringing our economy down. You know, our economy is going down because we lose. There are countries they can tell you exactly through corruption how many billions they lose in 1 year. But we cannot tell you in Gambia even how many people are having COVID-19. You understand? So we have problems of all these things. You know, transparency, the right statistics. You know, even if you are a president, you want to do something. There are certain information you need first before you can take a step. Like how many people are sick every day in the Gambia, and with what kind of disease, and where is the money that is supposed to be there to support these people, things like that, on and on and on and on. But the doors are all dark because everybody is trying to live elsewhere. I mean, you know, apart from his own salary, you know. And then the only the people who have the opportunity to do that. There are a lot of Gambians who don't have this opportunity. They cannot do it. They are struggling at the markets every day, trying to see how to survive, which is unfair. The gap is very, 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 very wide from the rich people in the Gambia and the poor people. And this gap should be closed somehow, unless we have maybe somebody who can do that correctly. But about the anti-corruption bill, I'm still angry about it because this most important bill is there, where I'm also disappointed by the parliament. Before signing all other bills, even insulting bills and all these nonsense, the most important thing, everybody is running away from it. So we have to ask ourselves, we Gambians, are we serious? Do we want Gambia to go forward? Do we want to stop this corruption in the country? The fact that it's already being rooted in the country, everybody knows, not only Gambia, it's everywhere in Africa. But many African countries are fighting, trying to come out of that place because it's not good. Your country will never go forward. That is normal. Even if Barros used to say they have all accounts on a one account and things like that, I just used to laugh. He doesn't know my people. Till they come and steal his shoes, maybe he'll know that he's in Gambia. That's why Jammeh even had to use force, because it's brutal, but but that is also force. You should not take a force. Make it a law. Have your board. People go. If you do wrong, you have to show where you get this money, and that one they have to follow to the last button. You understand? So, because that's where the discussion always starts at the wrong area. Because if I stop the corruption, that means the government will have a lot of money. The money what have been stolen all these years. So we're talking about billions maybe. So from there, the government can even take that money and add the salaries. For example, if you are receiving 2,000, you get 3 to 5 because there is money. But if you open the door when the money is going just like that, how can you increase salaries? How can you make the health system better? How can you make the reform the schools? Or because then you don't have power. That's why we cannot say we don't have money. We have money, but it's going the other way around. We have a lot of donors, a lot of grants, and all these things. People used to ask, where is that? If you hear about the amount, you think when you go to Gambia, you'll see New York. You understand? But the money is not there. So the government cannot also blame the people to say that, or the excuse, I don't have money. Because if you sit there, it should be your responsibility to make sure that you stop all these loopholes so that you have something for your own projects. That's how people do that. But if you allow everything, or even if some steals money, I try to bring nepotism, emotion
To cover up.
to cover up, that means we are not real to ourselves. That's why I started with this word. We have to be real to ourselves, Or I should not support anti-corruption bill because I have one uncle and I'm sure that he is stealing money. So when we bring this bill, he is not going to be rich ever, and that is going to affect me again.
Yeah, it's
So
gonna happen.
why should I support it? So all these things we have to put away. To be fair to ourselves, real to ourselves, and know that all this nonsense we are doing it to ourselves, or to say this man voted for me, that he is doing something wrong. But the fact that you have, as a leader, he is one who voted for me, So you don't look at it, the nonsense he is doing. So, or my uncle is doing this, we are related, I cannot tell him anything, so you accept that nonsense again, you know. So that's why if you look, our government, I don't know, it's just my observation. All these years, where do you see in the newspaper somebody who is arrested because of corruption?
No,
That is the
nowhere,
question.
nowhere.
Yeah, that's it. So that is something surprising. How we know Africa. So that is showing you that there is something going wrong. We have to stop this nonsense. Try to be real to ourselves. Go with the laws, make the laws who are going to stop these loopholes so that the government can have a lot of money to do a lot of things without even going to beg or I don't know how to call it, Yalwan in the wall. Hmm?
Thank you.
It's a sovereign country. We are having everything. And even not only that, our resources alone is enough for everything. We don't need to go and beg China or they come to allow them even to come and do their nonsense just because we think they are the only people who can give us money. We are having money there. That's why the Chinese are interested in Africa. We are sitting on the money. We just have to use our resources correctly. Get the right people, as Sam said, people who knows the know-how. Even the black sand alone, Gambia could have been very, very, very rich. We don't talk about oil or any other thing. You know, we are having everything there. So why should you go and beg? Just because you don't know what you have in your hand. If you talk about people who know how, you have a lot of people with PhDs in all corners. You know, why can't you tap on these resources if you know that you cannot know it yourself or your people? But you have to focus on Gambia and how am I going to take this Gambia? What am I going to do for everything?
Exactly.
Think of yourself last. First Gambia. That's why I used to say, for me, that's the best president. Who will say, let my people eat first before I eat.
Yeah.
Let them
That's how
clothe first
leaders.
before I clothe.
That's
That
how
is good.
leaders.
Yeah, but in Africa is very, no,
Thanks.
it's unfortunately not the case. First myself and then the others, But then, unfortunately, the others put you there. But these people voting, they don't also think of themselves, So it's a kind of mix-up,
Mix up.
you
Yeah.
know. So we need these people to enlighten them, and then it's the responsibility of every opposition party also not to just go and make campaign to get your votes, but try to educate the people, let them know their fundamental rights as a Gambian, you know, and what they are doing and what they are taking for a risk with their voting card, because after they make a mistake, then they cannot complain the next till the next election. So that's why I wanted to stop, because I want to talk much about corruption before I get hard complaint about.
Thank you, Alas, for that. You are a corruption expert, I know, since day one. Thank you for giving us that insight. Sam, you want to add anything to that before we close?
Yes, corruption to me is a huge topic, and it's very wide, very broad, and like I've always said before. I remember when Drammeh was in power in 2016 before elections. So during those times, I released some audios and talked about corruption and corruption in our country, and what we need to do and what kind of leaders we need there. I've talked about those there. And when I established my platform called Solutions for Gambia back in 2018, that has been a topic that's been brought up at least 5 times, that people want us to talk about. And I've talked about it and I've released audios, and some of those audios have been circulated around the world and even to the government. And I know that. I've even got some feedback back from people in the government, and they're saying some of the things that I was saying may not be able to happen. I said, yes, if we want to do it, we can do it, But, corruption is one thing that really need to start from the top. You fight corruption from the top, going to the bottom, not from the bottom up, because the bottom really is following the footsteps of the ones in the top. if you kill it from the top, and if we have the top person, the top guy, say a new president that comes in that's not going to be corrupt from day one, start from there and not allow himself to be corrupt. Because once you allow yourself to be corrupted, that's it. You cannot stop it, because now people are going to look up to you. Since you're not going to have anybody from the world that's going to come and directly give you money, it's going to go through people, and people are going to know what is happening. Once they know that, and they know that you've taken money, whether it's bribery money or some kind of money for anything, they know that they will do it, because if you say something, you know, you're afraid to for them to come out and say something about what you did. So it makes it very difficult to fight from that standpoint. So it really needs to start from the top and going down. And in fact, in my civil service reform video that I made in Facebook, I also stated there that in that reform, there should be an amendment or some laws made to protect whistleblowers. There should be a law to protect whistleblowers. That means protect the civil servants from being fired or arrested or terminated for something in retaliation to what they've said, because that will also eliminate that retaliation. I mentioned that on there too. All of that was because of this reason, because we're heading towards, in my mindset, in my mind, I was heading towards fighting corruption, and fighting corruption really needs to start with all of that. One, it starts from the top. And I'm going to mention five things that are key ingredients to stopping corruption. I know there's an anti-corruption bill. That anti-corruption bill, to me, that's nothing, because, if the top is corrupt, that bill is not going to pass. It's just not going to pass. Even if it passes, then what's going to happen is there will be things in there that will block certain things, and corruption will still continue to happen. So there are five things, and these five things really need to happen when a new government come in power. First time. You see, if you go in any game, in any football, soccer game, if you want to change the rules in the middle of the game, it becomes very difficult, because you're already part of the problem. It's very difficult to change the rules there. You make the rules from the beginning, and it's best for a new government after elections. We have a new president that comes in with corruption mindset, with the mindset that they're going to fight corruption, and it's going to start with themselves. They're going to have that mindset that I'm going to start with myself, hold myself accountable so I can hold people accountable. All right. So in doing that, this is when they need to push for certain things. I'm going to mention five things that are key ingredients to stopping corruption. They are not the only ones, but the basics. And one is to end impunity. Impunity by really making sure that the law is enforced, again, from the top, starting with the president from the top. The law is enforced. Anyone that's held, caught in any corruption or bribery act, be punished to the law, to be taken to court and be arrested, taken to the court, prosecuted, and set an example by putting that person in prison. That's one. You end that impunity. Do not forgive anybody. Let everybody face justice, anyone that does that. Okay. And number two is to reform the public administration and financial management system that will strengthen the auditing system, so that the government get audited frequently, not once a year, not after 2-3 years. You want to audit something, I mean, at that point you will already lose. At that point you may have already lost millions. If you audit every institution, when you want to fight corruption, you really need to fight it real hard and come very strong with it. Every single month, every institution get audited. You have to put that auditing body in place to do that. That way, if you miss $600, we catch it in the first month. Don't wait until 12 months, because the person that's taking that $600, nothing happened the first month because nobody audited. Next month, he's going to take 1,000. The following month, he's going to go to 500,000. Then he's going to go up. And then by the time you know it, you already lost millions. So every single month auditing need to happen in certain institutions to make sure that all these financial institutions are held accountable and take action. The third one is to promote transparency. It's very important that we are very transparent in what we do. Allow the media to question, allow the media to go after things. And when media do their investigations and reveal something, say it in the public, do it on the radio and television. And the government need to say, time out. That minister need to be suspended. That person or that director need to be put on investigative suspension. Let's suspend that person, investigate what happened, and see and find the truth. If they're found guilty, or if they are found with any wrongdoing, take them to court, prosecute, and put them in prison. All right? If nothing happened, they couldn't find anything, that person goes back to work. So we need to provide that transparency in there. The fourth thing is really to empower the citizens to hold the government accountable. The citizens need to be empowered to hold the government accountable by really getting involved in, really asking questions, making sure that things are going right. Whenever they see something, they say something, the government takes action. Very important. The fifth thing is, just to make it short, the fifth thing is to close all the international loopholes. Because when you close international loopholes, you make it very difficult for any government official to open a bank account anywhere. You make it very difficult for any government official to go build a mansion in another country, because that country is going to know, well, this is a minister, and we know what a Gambian minister get paid. Where is all this money coming from? They can report and say, government, hey, Gambia government, open your eyes. Your minister so-and-so is building a house here. Where is all this money from? We want to report it to you, and it's your job, your responsibility, your business to go look after it. We close all the international loopholes to make it difficult for them to do any international transaction. When you do all of these 5 ingredients plus the basics, I think you can control corruption. But like I said, the only way to start is a new government, a new president comes in power, holding themselves accountable, then hold everybody accountable, and not allow himself to get corrupt. Because once they get corrupt, then that gate is open. They open the gate for corruption, and they're not going to be able to stop it. Right. So we need people with that kind of mindset that will come and stop corruption. Otherwise, it'll be very difficult to stop corruption.
Thank you, Sam.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So just to wrap up, and let me add my few cents to this. Basically, corruption is embedded in our system, ever since get-go, since independence. I always say the other government is corrupt, the Jammeh's government is corrupt, and this government is corrupt, hands down. But the amount of corruption that we are seeing in this government is, and this time, is way beyond comprehension. Why? I'll give you these 3 governments. The first government, the leader, which is President Jawara, was somewhat corrupt, somewhat. But people around him were excessively corrupt. I don't need to call names. And if Bibidabo once, want to deny that when he came to the show, and I told him that it's unexplainable, the amount of corruption. He didn't like that, but that was what I said. He said I should rephrase that, but that was the truth. Jawara's government, people there, he might not be corrupt. Jawara might not be somewhat corrupt. I mean, so corrupt, but the government was corrupt. So we were there. We are living. We are living. Come on, we are living individuals in those days, so we know. Jammeh's government is a different ball game. Jammeh is super corrupt, champions of corrupts, super mega corrupt, and everybody around him, you have to be you have to be far less corrupt, or not corrupt at all. Otherwise, he kills you. or he's jailed you. So this government is super corrupt. The leader is corrupt. I mean, compared to Drammeh, I mean, we have to give time, but it's corrupt. I would say corrupt. I will not say super, but I would say corrupt. And people, everybody around is super corrupt. So this one is perhaps the worst when it comes to corruption. And that's just my analysis. I could be wrong and I could be proven wrong, but this is what these three governments that I've seen. Now, whose fault it is? I will not necessarily put the blames on them. I will put the blames on all of us. We all have hands in it. Because corruptions, we encourage it. Okay, when it comes to embezzlement, there's no proof of that. You cannot prove that because nobody see anybody embezzling anything yet. But we've seen structures being built, right? Structures being built with people in the high offices that were not built before. If I came from Badibusware Kunda. If all of a sudden I become a minister and you guys see story building being built, what should you say? And I've been around how many years? I never built that. So structures have been built
From
by
your
ministers.
salary.
Exactly. From your salary, right? It's not possible. So that's a sign of corruption. We cannot prove because we haven't seen any transaction, but we can see sign of corruption with kind of story building being built. And we had most of these ministers are building even outside. And then the structures have been shown. So people have confessed it. So that is a sign of corruption. So with present situation, Drammeh 1 is proven by Janet Commission that he was super corrupt. And those around him were struggling to be corrupt, but he's stopping them. Jawara's government, he was somewhat corrupt, but folks around him has embezzled so much that they were regarded as being corrupt. This government, we have been seeing some proofs of structures being built, and we cannot account for them because salary cannot pay that. So we consider them as corrupt as well, including the leadership. So how do we resolve this problem? This government should take a bold decision and come and say, I will make corruption a taboo in this country. How do you do it? You start from yourself. So as a declaration, they first came in and say, we're gonna declare all the assets. If you start with, let's say 10,000, and your office in 5 years or 3 years, calculate that salary, right? And whatever allowance, and the things that you have done, then by the time you leave the office, you can factor all that and see what you have in hand. Then you will be able to, somebody can assess whether you've been corrupt or not. Include all the gifts from entire income. This is not hard to do. 5 years in office or 3 years in office, you do an audit of all the ministers, all the high level people. Do an audit. Asset audit, money audit, and so forth. If you want to put all the gifts, as long as you have proof for it, all the travel allowance you do, guess what? If we come out and assess your assets and your liquid cash and see what you have in hand, then we can determine whether you're corrupt or not. So asset declaration, that's the use of it. Declare before you come and declare after you leave. But what happened? It was just a hearsay. It was said and then floated in the air. There hasn't been any asset declaration, no accountability. So if I see Alex bringing story building, being a minister of finance or somewhere, then how can we account for this? So this is why we are in a big trouble. The government should take a bold decision and say, this is the vision of the Gambia, that we should try to fight corruption and we should take a bold step. When the president of Sierra Leone came and told Barrow that Sierra Leone is looking into fighting corruption by making it punishable. He said, we have a young democracy. We just started. Yeah, the video is out there. You know, we just started. We have to take it easy.
That's when you start.
Yeah. But then what are you talking about? You have to start day one. There's nothing like give me a chance. Oh, give me a chance. Let's take a baby step. No. Corruption needs to be fought the first day. So that's when I start to lose hope that this government would fight corruption. So just to make this story short, if you make corruption punishable, if you make corruption deterrent by putting people to jail, you start from yourself, do asset declaration, do all the right things, eventually people will be deterred from corruption. And again, there are different avenues of corruption, not only embezzlements and like taking public fund into your own interest or your family interest. Even having diplomatic passport is a corruption, like the justice minister was having for the family. Those are all corruption. Me coming from diaspora, coming to the airport, giving Alice as an employee there, $50 to allow me in. Is that all corruption? Anytime things are not being done right, you are not following the line.
It means you are corrupt, and the person who took the money is being corrupted.
It's corrupt as well. So these are all these are all things that we need to fight. That's why I said it's not only the people in public office.
But Mr. Sawaneh, they used to say corruption comes from poverty. You understand? Which I can also understand. But it's for me still no excuse. We have to look where is the fault that this person is poor. You understand? Before you can fight something, you have to know where it comes from. You understand? So to fight poverty there, and you don't solve the problem of having a law to stop the cause of it, that means you will fight poverty your whole life. That's why I say we have to be real and say one time, stop. It's going to be painful because some people are already used to living apart from their salaries.
Yes,
I have to say it that way. It's the best way.
So it's a nice way to say it.
It's a diplomatic way to say it. So and then we can solve this problem, and then be ready not to be afraid to talk about it, which is also our problem.
And then I think Sam also mentioned salary increase. We have to budget.
Yeah, you can increase, which is very right too. Sam is very right. Yep. Just that everybody needs that, because when you have the money, you give the people, enough to live, and because a standard, it should be a standard. When somebody have more than that, it's okay, but there must be a standard, a line where every Gambian is feeding himself and can feed his family too, even from the salary. But the thing is, you have to stop the corruption first, so that many countries did it, and they could see how many billions they could get. That's where they know. Oh, that's what we were missing all the time. You cannot imagine. If you have a lot of doors, everything is going out, and then you stay there saying it's a poor country. It's a poor country. Why? You are having everything coming inside. How many billions are being thrown to you? You cannot complain and say, I don't have money. That is your fault not to control where the money is going. If you have done that, this money will be there. You'll even have more to give your people, to add the salaries, your projects. There'll be enough. But you have to start right away, control everything, close all loopholes, make the laws. This time I cannot blame Barrow because he signed the anti-corruption bill already from his side. But what are the rest doing?
Yeah.
Discussing about something what is not going to
And then I'm glad you bring that up before Sam come. We also Barrow did a good job there signing the bill. Now the implementation part is also important, because we Gambians, we are fond of creating bills, putting, the something on paper, but we don't practically apply it. And
Then we
also
can take him to, then you can take that person then to court, because it was his
because
intention to stop
enforcement,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
enforcement of the laws are very important to enforce something. We don't do that. We Gambians, we put stuff on paper, looks nice, Barrow sign it, yeah. But they should make sure that the people on the right places should make sure it's enforced. And also, we should also cut cut on the cost of goods, because you don't have price control in the Gambia. If businesses come and hike everything, I don't know why they're doing that. Maybe they're being greedy. Maybe they are also paying so much money on those goods to get them into the country. This has a
Right.
lot of a lot of parts, because we are not doing the right thing. We are not even doing
All
irrigation to
mixed
to
up.
create to create rice for ourselves. We are importing everything, so the goods are getting more and more expensive. Now, even if you increase salaries, it will not match, because you know why? Like, cost of living is higher in Gambia because we're not
Yeah.
making anything. We
But
are
that one, as a government,
we
that
are
one,
not, agriculture is failing. We are feeding, we are exporting, importing everything. Now the goods getting higher and higher. So my thing
yeah,
is, in order for us to be effective and be able to contain that salary that we're gonna have, even the salary is increased, we need to cut on costs, either clothing, shelter, feeding. If those things meet the gap, then we're gonna see people live comfortably within their salaries, and corruption will be reduced. Because Gambian people, I believe, have morals. We
but
have high standard. We have high standard of moral. Gambian people are proud. They don't. They probably are more honest than most African, West African, I can say, folks. So sometimes we driving into this situation because of we don't have. There's no way, you know. So people are not employed. So you have all these things in the mix. So that's why I'm saying it create it, you have to have a government that has his hands dirty and get things under control in all ends to try to fight corruption. Sam
yeah,
wanna say something?
our problem, sorry, Sam, our problem is always that they are always afraid that people don't vote them when they take that direction. When they are always afraid of I used to say, the hot stool, to sit there and say, so people, that's the law, this should stop, and all those things. But then they'll be afraid when they say that people will not vote for them. So they keep quiet because of their own interest. But that is not helping the Gambia. So, Sam, is it?
Well, like I said, corruption is a very broad topic. There's a lot we can say about it, and unfortunately, I think this should have been its own topic
Yeah.
rather than a second topic, because everything that we all want to say is not going to.
Yeah,
Don't have time to do all of that. So, but the more you talk, the more you're making me come up and say more. So,
I know,
so,
right?
but anyway, so um, like you said, Barrow signed the anti-corruption bill.
That's a good thing.
That's a good thing. Now the question is he going to lead by example? That is the question. Signing a bill is not enough. Building a house is not enough. That house needs to be maintained. If you build a fence, that's not enough. You need to maintain that fence. If you see it falling down, you need to fix it, or do preventive measures to allow that fence to stay there permanently and not fall. So is Barrow going to lead by example is the question, because
yeah,
signing a bill is not
that's
enough.
the
That's
question,
really not enough. That's just a start. So yeah, that's, to me, I mean, I'll give him credit and I'll say thanks for signing a bill, anti-corruption bill. But how are we going to monitor that? Who is going to do when and what? What and when? Things like that. So there is a lot to come with that bill. And again, it needs to start from the top, and Barrow needs to lead by example. So that's one. The other part is and if you listen to my comprehensive civil service reform, I suggested that the government need to do a complete reform, but also in that reform package, and I have this written down, in that package, there should be a salary increase for all civil servants in the country. And I suggested starting with a minimum of 5,000 by having a minimum wage. A minimum wage, 5,000 in the Gambia. Everybody Once that gets signed into the law, whether you work for the government or you work for that Indian storekeeper or store owner, he has to pay you $5,000 as minimum every month by force. No excuse, no way out. So when you set that minimum and you have a couple that works, you have a husband is a police officer, the wife is a teacher, they both have 5,000 a month, that's 10,000 coming into their house. You see, that when you're doing a civil service reform and you want to get to an anti-corruption bill, everything is timing and planning. You have to plan properly, because if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. You can make that anti-corruption bill, sign it into the law, but there are some things that need to come with it. There should be proper laws to protect the civil servants so that they can speak and nobody will attack the whistleblower. If they see the director of Port Authority stealing money, they need to be able to say, and nothing will happen to them. They're not going to lose their job. They will not get demoted. They will not get transferred anywhere. There should be a law that should protect people for all of this. So when you do all of those, so all of those need to come into play before an anti-corruption bill get into a law. Yes, it can be signed into the law, but there's a lot of branches that need to come together to form that big anti-corruption bill. By giving people pay increase, let people also live according to their income. Cut your quota according to your income. That's very important for Gambia, and that's a very bad thing for Gambians. Gambians don't know how to do that. They get paid. You can see someone that get paid $3,000 a month or $4,000 a month, but they go rent a house that they pay $4,000 a month. Where is the rest of the money coming from? How are you going to pay your bills? How are you going to feed your family? How are you going to pay school fees? How are you going to provide medical supplies for your children when they get sick, or your family? So these are the things that affects a lot of Gambians. We don't want to cut our coat according to our size. So there is, like I said, I can sit here and talk more and more about this, and we will never finish this because
I know, sir. I know, sir.
Yeah.
But sometimes what I just wanted to say is, we are having inflation in the Gambia now, and before I used to say that we have to make sure that we don't import a lot of goods. The reason was that when we import, that will weaken our currency. And you have seen it now where we are. It's deflation, So then things will be very costly for Gambians. And then nobody is taking care of the salaries, but only taking care of what is coming in the port and what we are, So that's why it's very important for we Gambians to start eating what we grow and try to live more from our own resources than always importing. It's not good. And now, even your idea, Sam, is very good. But now, because of the inflation, I think if you have 2 rooms in Gambia, you pay already almost $6,000. Just imagine. That is, many people are not receiving that as salaries. And you have a kid, you have to feed them, and so where? So that is also a reason why people can also be corrupt, and to avoid that, close all doors. Say here is, I don't know, maybe Barrow just did it because he was having that intention, but in the parliament, they put it away. They discuss, and throw it away. So after all, they had all unimportant, I would say. They are important, but they are not more important than this bill. Because this bill was going to, if we use it the right way, it was going to close all loopholes. Then we'll not be here to say this person cannot pay his house or things like that, or people don't get salaries or something like that, because then there will be something left over for all these things. That's why I used to say we used to discuss about all the things and forget about the head, the source, the cause. If you know the cause and handle the cause, then you will see that after you don't even have anything to discuss because it's not there. It's gone. Because if I have this as law, close all loopholes, if you steal something, I send you to Sam in America and he'll deal with you, You understand? And every citizen knows that, it's a law. I should not do that. And the government don't even need to run after the Chinese or European Union to have for help also, because there'll be money there. But if I have billions sent to me, I don't take care. I cannot control where it is going. After 1 week, it's gone. You don't know where it's gone. So to stop all these doors, this money was going to be for you there, for your projects. So it's just like when you are alone in your place. You have to make sure that you have money over for your family. You have to pay your bill, to eat and things like that. So it's the same way as a leader to deal with the country also. If you don't know it, because you are sitting there in the State House, take the very best people who are good in economics and so on. Gambia is having a lot of PhDs in all corners. Take one, should not necessarily be in your party, but do it for the good of the country, and then make sure that that person solve this problem. You have the data every time they bring in everything on your table. You know everything from there. If you need advisors, hold the best advisors to advise you. If you want the country to go forward, not necessarily who voted you or not. They can vote for you, but look at their education. Are they going to help you to bring the country forward or not? These are all things I used to say. We have to be real to ourselves. It's the only chance we have. We should stop looking about nepotism, tribe, who voted me or not, all those nonsense. It's just dragging us back. You don't do that in this modern world today. So that's all I wanted.
Thank you, guys. I think we have exhausted this topic deeply. I never thought that we'll be able to get this out of out of this topic, but we did. So I think definitely this should be a topic of its own. We have a lot of corruption issues that we should, but we'll visit that in the future. The voting also was really the content was so much. I hope our viewers are definitely gonna gain something out of this. Thank you, guys. And others, don't forget, somebody was asking for your number, so perhaps
you can give it. You have it, You can give it.
It's on the chat place. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I can feed it in.
You can also get it. Yeah.
It's on the homepage also.
Yeah, it's there. Yeah.
Okay. Then thank you.
Yeah.
Sam.
Thank you. Sam.
Thank you all. Yeah.
Class.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good Memorial Day weekend. Enjoy
Yeah, you
yourself.
too.
Yeah.
You too. Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.